He's out. Hey everyone, and we are live on Brofessor and Friends. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. I know you got a lot of things that you could be doing right now, a lot of other places that you could be, but you have decided to be here, and we are thankful. Today's Artemis Experience is sponsored by Artemis Overland in Springfield, Missouri. Found at artemisoverland.com for all of your overland, off-road camping, and outdoor needs. Overlanders serving overlanders. And we appreciate them for sponsoring us today. And here is a word from our sponsor. Okay, today we have with us Matt from Secondhand Overland. You can find them on Secondhand Overland on Instagram, the home of budget overlanding adventures. They're all about the cheap thrills. Welcome, Matt. Appreciate you being here with us. All the way from Arizona. And also with us is another old friend of mine. You can see them out and about in the Ozarks of Arkansas or one of their trips out exploring the West. These dog lovers and Toyota trail riders have explored and quickly built a solid rig and now working on another. Mo, we appreciate you being here from Forerunning the Ozarks.
Man, glad to be back.
Thanks buddy. Today we are talking about overlanding on a budget. Now, this is a hot topic. We live in a world of supply and demand, and the overlanding world is booming right now. And when you have a lot of demand, you've got to supply them. And if they keep paying the prices, that's the prices they're going to pay. And you have to try to figure out what you're going to do. And so many people are getting into it. And I don't know if you've noticed, but since COVID hit, everybody has kind of exploded into the outdoors, and so many people are into stuff and gear, and I see it every day. Somebody comments on somebody's rig or something more overpriced overlanding gear. So this is what I want to talk about tonight and see how you guys feel about it. And I wanted Matt to come on here because this has kind of been his focus of his social media presence. And Matt, I wanted to ask you, what made you want to get out on social media and build a page focused on budget overlanding adventures?
Really, because that was what my budget was. When we
I
got
love
into
it.
this, it was I
love
mean,
it.
that's kind of what it's been, and
Yeah.
it's just been a progression from there. I mean, we were fortunate enough when we started out with a 3rd gen 4Runner, so it wasn't like we started out with a piece of crap. So we had a good foundation to work with, and then since then, it's evolved, and like the YouTube channel has come on with everything else, and we kind of the wife and I talked and said, well, let's build a second rig. So we kind of capped a budget at about $5,000 to acquire a vehicle, and ended up finding a somewhat sweet Land Rover Discovery one that's now been our main focus and the budget build that we're working on right now.
Cool. I love it. I have noticed on your social media that you've got the disco. I think I've got a picture of the disco on here that we could show everybody what you're working on somewhere in here. Of course, I don't know where it's at. It's in here somewhere. I've got so many pictures uploaded that we're going to share with everybody tonight. So we will definitely get to that. But if you go to Secondhand Overland, it's just a couple pictures down. It's not too far. You don't have to look very far. But the disco is one of the vehicles that I've always cherished and loved. I've never owned one, but I think the looks of them are super cool. I think they're awesome.
It's different, that's for sure.
Yeah.
the big tall boxy face. Hey, Philip, just got to say hi to that guy. He's like #1 super fan on our channel.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
Appreciate you chiming in, Philip. But the disco was like completely different. But then at the same time, when you get underneath its skin, it feels like an old GM product from the 70s or the 80s. So it kind of has that throwback and nostalgia to it because it's just simple.
Right. They're super cool. I know a lot of people who have them. The guys that we run around with from Springfield up at Rover. Seems like every one of them have one of the discos, and all the shows that we go to, the events that we have up there. They seem to be the ones that they go to. It's their go-to vehicle because they, I guess they're easy to get parts for. I don't know a whole lot about Land Rovers, but they seem to be super cool. So looking at some of your builds that you've had in the past, would you consider yourself to be on a budget because you're a minimalist? Do you consider yourself a minimalist? Because it looks like on your rigs, you don't seem to have all the gadgets and the gear that everybody else seems to have. You just go with what you got.
Well, I'm happily married and I like to stay that way. So that's part of it.
Yes.
I hear that.
But I mean, honestly, that was kind of like everything that we go on. I mean, we talk about it and we discuss it together. So it's like we got to come to a consensus. So usually, if I want something new, I got to take her out and prove why we need it. And but for the most part, it's just been like, how much money do you want to allocate to it? And I've been fortunate too that we've had. I have a lot of experience with backpacking gear and just have been car camping my whole life. So we had a lot of just regular tents, sleeping bags, the whole 9 yards to use. So there was no need to go out and buy something else that when something I already had worked fine.
I understand. So
we
Mo,
started,
go ahead. Tell us.
We kind of started the same as Matt. We used to backpack around the Ozarks and stuff like that. And so like a lot of our pots and pans, like he's saying, they kind of, they transferred right over with us. Some of the stuff didn't, a backpacking chair. When you've got a whole rig, why not bring a big enough chair for you to be comfortable in? But some of that stuff, Jetboil setups, all that stuff went, smooth from the backpacking right into this overlanding camping thing we do.
I agree, and I've still got most of that gear and have saved it because, in my opinion, overlanding is an all-encompassing way of traveling the United States, and seeing the United States. So we do. I'm actually building an adventure motorcycle right now, so all of that backpacking gear will be perfect for that because it's small. It'll fit in there. We use it for overnight trips that we do in the kayaks. We're most fortunate enough to live in a state where we have a national river. It's 126 miles long. If you want to do it from start to finish, it's about 7 days. And so you've got to take that small gear that can pack down real small, and so it one kind of leads into the other. I did a lot of backpacking when I was worked with a bunch of college students. So that is a super way. And I see a lot of people that transition from backpacking to overlanding because you can do one with the other. You can travel to a place and camp, and there's always seems to be backpacking trails wherever you go. And so that's a really good transition that a lot of people do. And I see it quite a bit.
Well,
Now, Mo, if anybody follows you on your Instagram for running the Ozarks, they know that you have a very capable, very impressive forerunner, and I know you've just acquired an 80 series that you're fixing to start on. So, how big of a priority is budget to you when you started building those?
I mean, we went out with a goal for the forerunner. When we sent it to Jason, we kind of had a budget in mind. We were able to stay under that budget. Now some of the stuff we've added on, it's not like we went out and bought everything at once, but in the same sense, I've bought some things that I've replaced. So now it's more the buy once, cry once thing really rings true. So if there's something we're really wanting, like just save up for that product and buy it, and don't sacrifice on quality and end up buying something that's not going to last as long, 2 or 3 times. So we just kind of try and do it that way. Budget, boy, we're one of those ones that if we see it and like it and it serves a purpose on this rig and we can justify it, then we'll probably go out and get it. Like he was saying, he's got a wife. I'm the same. She's working, unfortunately. So it's one of those things where you want to be comfortable out there. You want everybody to be comfortable, and so if we can justify it, then we'll probably end up getting it.
Definitely, Matt. Do you have something to add on that?
Oh, I'm still thinking about the Jetboil because it's literally the coolest piece of gear in the last 20 years. Hands down.
Well, and that's it.
If you can only afford one stove, buy a Jetboil because you will use it for everything. When I used to be an over-the-road truck driver, I didn't have a microwave in the truck. I just had a Jetboil, and I made every dang thing you could think of: Easy Mac, ramen, whatever.
Yeah, we've made eggs in them. Putting eggs in a Ziploc bag, and you can do eggs that way. It's crazy because it's one of those things. The Jetboil hasn't changed much. Like, they've added more products, but the Jetboil is the same as it was, the day it came out, so it is just a tried and true, just solid piece of equipment.
You're right. When my birthday hit last year, my wife asked me what I wanted, and I actually didn't have one. I had used a pocket rocket for years, and and I had taken that thing everywhere. I had actually cooked a lot of meals in Africa and just anywhere that I would go, I would take that, because you go to a third world country and go to places where you're not actually in a city, you have no idea what you're going to eat. And so it's, I cooked a ton of food that way and made that go. But I actually splurged and got the Mini Mo, and I love the Jetboil Mini Mo. It's a little shorter, and plus it has Mo in its name. And it's a little shorter, a little fatter, so I can get my spoon down in there, and works really well. So, hey, we have a special guest that's coming on here. Our sponsor has tuned in. Hey, Aaron, how are you, buddy?
Hey, I'm driving.
He's driving actually in his disco.
Yes.
He's in his disco. Hey, good to see you. What's going on? How's things at the shop today?
Oh man, we had a lot of stuff going on today. Most of it had to do with going to the bonfire this weekend.
Oh yeah, Natural State Bonfire this weekend. Excited to be there.
We got a couple tents installed, and ran into South African problems. So.
Oh well, that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. But you live and learn and make adjustments next time.
I got my boy Kelly with me.
Hey, Kelly.
Hi, you're on.
How are you, buddy? Did some camping with Kelly and Aaron back in New Mexico last summer. Had a great time with them. Kelly loves to splash in the mud puddles. He's a professional mud puddle splasher. So, well, hey, we appreciate you coming on. We need you to be safe while you're driving. So, got any words of wisdom for us before you go?
Oh, I forgot you're a police officer. Sorry.
Yeah.
The only worst thing you could be is Oprah.
Well, if I was Oprah, all y'all would get a car. So
Yeah,
that's
Anyway,
the way it goes.
Yeah, no, yeah, I don't know why I just jumped on, but I have no words of wisdom today.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate you
Good to see
coming
you.
on. We good to see you, and we will see you at the bonfire this weekend. Actually, tomorrow evening we'll meet up.
Yeah, we will. I look forward to it, and I got some new product to show you first before I unleash it to the rest of the public.
Oh man, I love it when you say
Lucky.
that. Love it when you say that.
Big deal. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. All right, brother. Appreciate you coming on.
All right.
Have a safe night.
Talk to you.
See you. Bye. All right. We do have some questions that have come in on the chat. Dan wants to know what are you thinking about the 80 series compared to what you might have done on the 4Runner series? What are you thinking about the build?
I'm not going to go as far as we did on the 4Runner. That's what I keep saying. I don't think we'll do a dual battery setup or have it where it can solar charge. We did order a front runner rack from Artemis, so that should be showing up sometime. But I'm going to keep it pretty basic. The inside of it is like a time capsule. So I love that side of it. I love looking in the back of it, and just like I said, I don't really want to change much of it. Just want it to run fine. Throw a 10 on the top of it and have it good to go.
Sean has a good comment there. You can't say 80 budget in the same sentence. Those
He's on
vehicles,
one longer than me.
Those vehicles are a lot like the Discoveries. They are truly a work of art. You can go back in time and see for years and years and years, those things have been plowing the off-road scene and always continue to do it. It's super cool. But getting back what we were talking about, now what are your plans, Matt, on the Discovery for what are your plans on it? Have you got it the way you wanted, or you want to do some more to it?
No, so we're kind of looking at the way our vacation lined up this year. We're going to be taking off sometime about mid-June. So I've got about 7 weeks, and basically all I'm going to do is put a basic set of drawers in the back. We're going to craft some up. I'm going to use the existing cooler that I got and throw it in the back, and maybe run some just a few extra electrical leads into the back just to charge my camera gear and stuff. But as far as I looked at doing a dual battery and everything else, and I just said, you know what, for right now with what we're doing, we're just going to go with simple and basic, because this is pretty much the same setup I've had in the 4Runner, and it's done fine for the last year and a half. So, and like to Mo's point, buy once, cry once. The budget that I'm at to want to spend on a fridge is going to be in that price range where I'm going to be wanting to buy one in another 2 years, or have to suffer through being somewhere when the compressor fails, and then losing all my food when ice never stops being ice unless it gets hot.
True.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. We're at a point right now. We're all in the same boat. My wife, we have 2 FJ Cruisers, and my wife has now found this group of ladies that she wants to travel with. Mo's wife, Mariah, is actually one of them. She's one of the leaders of the pack. So she's got a lift and tires on it. She had a roof rack on it, and we just decided here in the last 3 weeks to move the tent that was on my FJ over to her FJ and get me a different one. But now she's like, how am I going to keep my food cold? What am I going to cook with? We've got chairs, but we don't have things. We don't have drawers. We don't have this. We don't have that. I said, you don't have to have all that to go out. It is a luxury that we have in the rig that we've been building for the past 3.5 years. And now we're 2 months into working on yours. It's not going to get there. overnight. And so,
Oh gosh,
you know, we upgraded our fridge. I had an old fridge. It kind of went on the fritz for a little bit and started blinking error. And I kicked it around and threw it around and dropped it, kicked it some more, and that works again. So, you know, these Chinese things, I guess if you throw them around, they kick back into place or something. So she's going to try that out and take that. And Mariah has said she would take care of her and make sure she don't starve to death and make sure her tin will go up and down. So she's going to get taken care of. It's going to be a good experience for her.
Well,
So that's pretty cool.
It'll be fun. I don't know how Matt does it. Matt, do you take both rigs out ever at one trip, or is it just kind of a one rig, one trip, leave the other at home kind of deal?
Basically, since everything has been kind of set up around the 4Runner, it's always been the one that always goes. And then if the wife and I both go together, we take the Disco. Now the other thing was I still, as much as I've been preaching their virtues of old Land Rovers, still have that nagging thing in the back of my mind that it's going to blow up or explode somewhere. Right. So we finally took it out on the last shakedown, did about a 600-mile trip this last weekend. And now okay, I'm going to start setting that one up because that's going to be the one rig we take unless we're going to go on something that's really, really stupid or out of the way. And then obviously you got that benefit of the safety and security of 2 rigs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's one of the things I'm going through at the 80. Last weekend was our first trip to the Ozarks with it. You know, and Sam, we probably only went 2.25 miles. And, you know, it's that trust that we're trying to earn with each other, you know, for the same reasons. You know, it's like, well, I don't want it to break down somewhere or anything like that. So it seems like a real trust thing. That 650-mile mark, that'll be something to look forward to. That's a good little shakedown trip.
Yeah, that's true. You've really got to watch yourself. This is not when you build these rigs and you put your trust in them. This is not, you know, traveling from city to city. You're going a lot of times out in the middle of nowhere where there's no help for hours and miles, and you know, thinking about budget and skimping on something and maybe investing in something else. You've really got to make sure that your powertrain, your motor, and everything is perfect, because if you don't have that, you're not going anywhere and you're stuck. So I would rather, you know, skimp on cookware and make sure that I've got oil in my rig. You know,
absolutely.
It's one of those things you've really got to focus on. But somebody asked Byron Amanda Baker, when the word budget is said, what do you guys think people overspend on?
New cars.
That's a good question, because I think there's a whole list of stuff there. The way that I did it, I started out doing a lot of stuff myself. And here in probably the last year and a half, I've started upgrading some things, because what I did that I built myself was heavy. It was bulky. And now I'm starting to trying to shave some weight off to try to help my fuel mileage. You know, but I've always stayed within that budget. I've never overspent where I've ran up every credit card I've got. You know, it's one of those things where I've just kind of did a little bit as I went along. And so, what do you guys think that people overspend on? Matt, you're probably an expert on this, because this is what you focus on.
I mean, number one is vehicles. Like, it just people go out and get underneath soul-crushing debt to go buy a brand new rig when they don't need to. That's like the number one thing, I think, you know, because you get in 40, 50 grand in debt on a rig. What money do you have left over to do anything with?
I think that was evident when the new Gladiators came out. It was unbelievable how many showed up immediately, and they ran out of them, and they couldn't keep them enough. And people were spending the $50-something thousand on a Gladiator and then saying, now what do I do? You know, same. I agree with you. Sure enough.
It's like being house poor, only your car poor. You bought too much house, you bought too much car. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Well, I'll tell you about a little.
Sorry, I'm trying not to be offensive. Really, I really am.
No, well, and that's the thing is, what do people overspend on? Everybody's budget's different, and they're adults, and so it's like, man, if they can afford it, go out and spend the money and buy it, man. Go out and buy. Everybody's budget's always gonna be different. I wouldn't, I would never go judging somebody's budget compared to ours, compared to yours. Everybody's different, and so like I said, you live once, man. Buy the stuff that makes you happy, and if this is what does it, and buying that new fancy thing checks that box, then I say, more power to those folks. Go out and get it and be happy. If you can live with yourself, I can definitely live with what your choices.
Yeah, people say it all the time. You only live once, and when you die, who gets your stuff? Well, it's not you. So you can't take it with you. So
that's right.
I've found myself on some trips where we took off to the Enchanted Rockies Trail last June, and in order to get there, everybody seemed to be in a hurry, and so they were doing 85, 90 miles an hour on the interstate. And I kept getting on the radio and saying, my rig is built like a box. It's not fast, so you guys are just gonna have to go on. I'll keep up with you later, because I wasn't gonna tear up my rig just so I could keep up. And even on the trails, a lot of people like to go fast. They may have a better suspension than me. They may have spent more on their suspension. It may be better than me, but everybody has a different budget. And Mo and I have been out with guys in groups that you can tell they have an unlimited budget because they don't care if they tear stuff up or not. And and I'm back here thinking my rig's 14 years old, and I paid like 12 grand for it, and I don't have money to replace it. So I'm going to go slow and take my time and make sure I don't tear anything up. If y'all want to tear something up, that's fine. But I have put a lot of time, a lot of effort into this, and people have said, man, if you have a wreck, you're going to cry, because that thing is like a baby, because you put so much time and effort into it. And I said, it means something. It means something to me. And so, everybody's got a different budget. Everybody's got, a different lifestyle that they live. And if you can go out there and buy a 2021 Land Cruiser and put $50,000 worth of stuff in it, good for you. That's awesome. And I envy you, and I wish I could do that. I had there's no telling how much money the rig cost that was in my driveway last weekend when, the people that stayed with me, it was a rig built by Maltec, and I know those are unbelievable. And so they let me up in there, and I was like, this is a dream. This is a dream. I will never in my lifetime be able to afford something like this, but I'm happy with what I've got.
Absolutely.
So it's everybody's got a different budget, and I would never judge anybody for having something different. But for me, I started out by making everything myself. I had an uncle that used to be a cabinet maker. He made my drawers for me. I said, hey, can you make me some drawers that go in the back? He said, yeah, that'd be great. So he made me some drawers that go in the back. Yeah, I could have spent, $700-800 and got something from wherever. But he was like, hey, give me $80 and I'll do it. And I said, shoot, that's perfect. I got 2 drawers. One of them makes into a table. That's all I need.
Yeah.
And then I made a shovel and an axe mount myself. It was kind of funny how I did it back then. I love going back and looking at the things that I did a long time ago. I made a little video. Check this out. All right, and here's what it looks like installed on the vehicle. One on top, one on bottom. Pretty good for the first time do-it-yourselfer. Here it is with my new awesome Root Slayer shovel attached.
nice and tight. Won't move. You might can see I put a little piece of leather in there so it wouldn't slip. We're fixing to go off into the woods. We'll see how it works, see if it rattles.
So that was back years ago, and it was amazing how excited I got with a few quick fists, piece of metal, some rubber to go under there, and it worked. And for me, something is successful if it is effective and it doesn't rattle. And for me, that's perfection. If it's effective and it doesn't rattle. And so, that was fun to me. And I did a whole lot of that stuff myself. And that's how I started out. And people look at my rig now and say, man, I can't believe you spent that much money on that rig. I said, you don't understand. I started out and did almost all of this myself. Now, I've done some upgrades in the past year or so, but this rig it's I don't know if you would say it's built, not bought, but that way it meant something to me. But all that stuff that I did back then, it's not there anymore because it's changed. A rig's constantly changing, but it was fun and I enjoyed it. And I know you guys do the same thing.
To an extent, obviously bigger projects. And when we started down this path, we were so new into everything, so building anything seemed, just like a overwhelming project. So we have definitely bought most of the things. Now, obviously, like bolt-on stuff, I've tried to do most of that myself. Me and Josh, guy who lives close to me, Oz Venture Project. Now he with the ARB compressor and setting up the switch rows. And it's cool to get hands-on. The more hands-on, I want to get more hands-on with it just because I feel like that's how you really, really learn how your vehicle works and stuff like that. So starting to kind of try and do more of that kind of stuff myself and everything, when I get the chance. Like I said, obviously, if it's a huge project, I'm just going to send it to Jason.
I agree. Now, one of the things that I was showing Matt when we started was it was probably one of the best things that's happened to me when I started getting into this was that I made friends with the high school welding shop teacher. And, I went to him and I said, I've got this rig, but I really don't have a lot of money to spend on things. So we came up with some ideas. He built my roof rack. I wanted him to build me something. I had cases that I hauled. We had an Oz tent that we threw up there, and it just wouldn't work with the stock roof rack. So he built me a roof rack. I had about $150 in it, and it saved me a lot of money. It was perfect at the time. These are the sliders that he built me. These are actually the stock sliders that came on my rig, and I took them off. I took them up there to him, and he actually welded the piece that actually made the slider, made me a step on there. So instead of spending $900 on a pair of sliders, I had $70 in metal, and they welded them up, made them look real nice, and they're still on my rig today. It's just one of those things that I did to try to save some money. And so, I did a lot of the wiring myself. Now I know my limits, and wiring is not my specialty. No. And I would never delve off into doing something that would make my vehicle set on fire or anything like that. But I have, when COVID hit, we were off for 3 weeks. And so I took that time. It was beautiful weather. It was March of last year. We couldn't go anywhere anyway. And so I went out and worked on my rig every day, and I upgraded a lot of things, and I did a lot of things myself. And I did a rear seat delete, which is one of the best things that I've ever done. It gave me so much more space. We don't travel with kids. We have a bulldog, and so it's just me and my wife and the dog. So I was able to take out those seats, and I could have went out and bought a rear seat delete kit from such and such company, but I looked it up. It was going to be $500 for a platform kit. It was going to be $400 for the driver's side, $600 for the passenger side. man, it just started adding up and adding up, and I thought, good grief, so I went out and spent $95 on plywood and made myself a deck system. It's just one of the things that I did, to try to save a little money that I didn't have. So Dan asks, what do you make do with instead of buying the better solution? That's a good question. It's a good question. I don't know if you would say I make do with it. I think first thing that comes to mind is I travel with a 1956 Coleman stove. That's what I cook with. I love it. I spent $18 on it, and I could have went and bought a partner steel stove for $350, but I decided to push that money somewhere else. And plus, I like the old stuff. It's pretty cool and still works. I'm amazed that some of the stuff that's 50, 60-year-old still works. And so that's one of the things that I don't know if you say I make do with, but that's one of the things that I use. What about you guys? Anything come to mind?
Get them, Matt.
Folding shovel instead of a portable toilet.
Definitely.
That was just a stupid one that came to my head. Right now, I mean, a cooler versus a fridge.
Okay. Yeah, I heard you mention that a while ago. I found that interesting that you travel with a cooler. That seems to be one of the first things that people want to buy is a refrigerator.
Right, but it's that I feel like the step into like the most fridges that people can afford is like that $300-$400 price range, and I just don't trust that. And I've used rotomolded Pelican coolers for 10 years and love them. They're indestructible. I've dropped conveyors on them before and not had them break. I used to keep one strapped on the catwalk of a semi truck going down the road. It'd hold ice for days. So when we transition into doing this, we take this thought that like we're going to have to go somewhere to get gas every 3 days or something, right? So I can hold food that long. Every gas station in the world's got ice in it, and I can buy a lot of ice bags in that incremental difference between a $300 fridge and a $1,000 fridge.
How do you decide when do-it-yourself or an inexpensive option is the wrong choice compared with an expensive purchase? For me, this is probably when it comes to tent. For me, it does not make sense for people to try to skimp on something that they're going to put their lives in on top of a vehicle that could possibly leak, come apart, blow apart in the wind. I've been in some hellacious rainstorms. I know Mo's been in some because he's had his stuff folded up a little bit. So the people that want to skimp on a rooftop tent and try to build their own, that blows my mind right there. If you can do that, that's amazing. But the technology that goes into some of these is really incredible to me. So I definitely wouldn't do it on a tent. And also people that install your suspension, make sure it gets done right. You don't want to be breaking stuff when you're out there and have to limp home or be towed home. Get somebody that knows what they're doing. One of the things that I've noticed about this overlanding lifestyle is people love to help each other. Yeah. And everybody has a gift. Everybody has, some people are mechanically inclined and some are not. Make friends. Find out if, hey, you mind helping me put this suspension on? You know what you're doing. And a lot of times people will do that, in their garage or something. That's what I've seen. So find people that know what they're doing. Instead of trying to do it yourself and hoping that it works.
I would say folks know, like if you, like Joey's talking about his cabinets, like if you feel confident with that skill set, then it's a no brainer as far as the DIY. Me, cutting square, that's just something always been a problem. So, it'd take me more time, and then you start valuing time. Do I want to spend a weekend building drawers, or I can spend a weekend in the forest and just buy drawers, So if you got the time and the skill set, then absolutely, man, DIY. I've seen. I just left a guy's house who did his drawers, and and they look fantastic. Work solid, everything like that. And so you wouldn't know it was a DIY. Like I said, the skill set's there, and he takes the time on anything he does, and so it really reflects in the final product. I could go out and staple some plywood together and slap some sliders on it. That doesn't make it drawers. I'd obviously want them to function right and everything like that. And so it's just one of those things. Like I said, people, your skill set. If you think you can fab something up, there's probably no doubt you can. And then it's what's the time and materials and stuff going to cost versus taking it somewhere else, and how's that weigh in?
That's true.
Yeah.
Mike asks, what are your thoughts on car companies that are building adventure-ready rides like the Subaru Wildlands and the Hyundai Santa Cruz? I think the Ford Bronco also has something that's coming out like this. What's your thoughts on that?
I think, man, they realize the market's peaking as well. It'd be foolish for them not to. Like we've all said on the show, is people are itching to get out, whether it's here, there, or anywhere. And so if you've got a car that you think's right off the showroom floor, ready to go, then somebody's going to buy it. Does that mean that car's ready to go? Probably not. You'll probably still dump some money into it.
Yeah.
I'm not really familiar with either of those models, but it looks like a money grab.
Well,
I've never seen either one.
I'm a Harley Davidson guy. I've been riding Harleys for a long time, and one of the ways that Harley sucks you in is if you want to buy a $20,000 motorcycle, they'll approve you for like $35,000, and they'll want to put new wheels, new tires, handlebars,
some bags on it,
upgrade it, put bags on it, put a kit on it to make it go faster. And what you're doing is you're financing all of your upgrades, and you're paying interest on those upgrades. And so if you buy an Overland ready rig,
cash money,
amen. So if you're buying an Overland ready rig, you're financing and paying interest on a lot of that stuff. Now, if you want it now, if you're like my daughter, that when she was 7, the only time period that she understood is right now. She didn't understand was future or past or anything. Everything's right now. So if you're one of those people where you have to have it right now, that may be the way that you want to go, and it may be in your budget that you want to finance those. But just realize that you're going to be paying more for those items, and things that come from Ford or Subaru may not be the quality. Ford. There's several different models of the Ford Bronco that you can buy that really makes it upgraded.
It's just the same thing they've been doing with pickup trucks for the last 20 years. Start with a base model that's somewhat affordable, and then let's add a bunch of accessories and margin, basically just high margin stuff to the vehicle that we can then jack the price up, when underneath it all, the basic function really didn't increase worth that price to me, in my opinion.
Right.
Or later on, you could go ahead and make those upgrades yourself, tailored to your own needs. When you spend that money and fork it over to them, you're going to get whatever crappy AT tire that they decided to buy for it, as opposed to what you want to go put on it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing I always see. That's one of the first things I want to replace is tires. It always seems like the tires that come with a vehicle off the lot wear out within the first 6 months after you get it, and I just don't trust them. I've been out in Colorado and have the sidewall slashed like somebody took a samurai sword to it, and I don't want to be stuck out there with a flat or see anything like that. But I wanted to show everybody. This was one of the things that I really went through when we were talking about overlanding budget, was that I'd always wanted a trailer. And, I had priced trailers, and, we'd looked at Turtleback and Patriot, and we'd even looked at some of the simpler ones, the X Ventures and things like that. And I'm one of these guys that research things to the nth degree before I buy anything. And so after I made buddies with the welding shop guy, I went and talked to him and I said, hey, I've been thinking about maybe building an overlanding trailer. What do you think about that? And he said, this would be really cool because we only get to do pretty much the same things every year. We get to do the duck blinds, the deer, deer stuff and smokers. That's just about all we get to do. So that'd be pretty fun. So he called me about 6 months later in January and he said, hey, we're ready. I was like, oh, okay. So I went up there. I took a 1946 M1 axle that a buddy had given to me off his overlanding trailer that he had upgraded timber and suspension. And I just had this laying around. And I took it up there. I drew out on a piece of paper what I wanted. And so I got to go up there every day. This is right when they started. They built the base. They built the tongue. This is after about a week of them working on it. I just wanted an open trailer, very simple, but effective. And so the next week I went up there. They were ready for wheels and tires. I went up there the next week and they had put the body on it. This was so cool getting to see it from start to finish. We did some things and he didn't like it. He said, we're going to redo that. We're going to do this different. Went up there the next week. They put fenders on it. It really started coming. This is when I started getting excited. This is when it started looking like a trailer. Mm-hmm. And so I went up there the next week. He had put me a swing out, fold down table on there. The next week I went up there and he had put my tanks on there with a battery box. The battery box wasn't on there quite yet, but then they put some side boxes on there for me so I could have storage on each side. And this was the finished product when we come out. The tanks go on the front, battery box in the front that's got two batteries in it, fold down. Then the rear, he made it with dual swing out tables on it. And so, for me to go out and spend anywhere from $10,000 to $40,000 on an off-road trailer, I've got about $1,000 in it. And, that was something that we were able to do just by making friends and saying, hey, what do you think about this? And he was more than willing to do it, and it worked out for us. And now it's sitting up in Artemis waiting for a rooftop tent to come in to put on it, because now we're going to put a tent on it and do some base camping. And it's just going to end up perfect for us. And so getting out there and researching, making friends, you never know what you might come upon that might help you out to save you a little bit of money where you can invest other places. Now, I'm going to have to get caught up on some of these comments. Philip asked, what kind of comms do you find yourself running? Matt, what kind of comms do you run? Do you run communications?
I have a cell phone, spot satellite messenger, and a Midland GMRS. Just basic.
Okay. That's Mo. What you got?
Same. Yeah. Have the Garmin InReach, Midland GMRS, and then, we do have a Wii Boost. But most times once we get out, it's just going to be GMRS. Cell service.
Yeah, that's pretty much what everybody that I know of is coming to. I've still got my CB in mine. I don't think I've turned it on in 2 years. And when I first got into this, everybody, all the events that you went to that had planned rides, it was required that you had CB radio. And now you never see that anymore. Everybody's going to GMRS. They reach out further. They're so much clearer. You don't have to listen to the truckers talk. And so it's so much better. The InReach, my wife will not leave home without the InReach. That is her peace of mind, that we will be able to communicate with the outside world no matter where we are. And so that is one of the things we never leave home without. And I haven't used a Spot, but I know they work about the same way.
They don't. I'll tell you right now, they're not as good. They're the less expensive option. I just was screwing around one day and got on eBay and was like, I want to get the cheapest satellite messenger I can buy just to see how it works. Yeah. Like this was content I want to use for the channel, so it'll be in a video later. So I bought a used Spot X, and I have friends that have the InReach, and I'll tell you, it seems like the messaging is a lot quicker through the InReach. The Spot will kind of miss sometimes, and its satellite network isn't truly as global as the InReach, because the InReach runs
Yeah.
off of Iridium and Spot runs off of Globastar, which is only kind of focused on some continental land masses. So like top of the line, bee's knees, cat's meow is I would say the InReach, because of the system and everything that it's on, but you're going to pay a premium for it.
Matt
That's
asked if
right.
anyone has ever used a Zoleo. I don't think I've ever even heard of one. I don't know what that is.
It is. Oh, go ahead, Mo. Sorry.
I don't know what that is as well.
So it's another. It's a standalone. It's a two-way messenger. It's about the size of a deck of cards. It interfaces through your cell phone via Bluetooth like the InReach does, but there's absolutely no display on the front. But I do believe Zoleo has like some more budget-friendly pricing structuring with their
Right.
plans and everything else
Right.
too.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think I've seen something like that. It's called a blue. I can't remember, but it does work through your cell phone via satellites, and I was interested in that. But a buddy of mine had the InReach, and he said, "Hey, I've upgraded my InReach. Do you want this one?" I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So mine is actually the older. It's not even a Garmin. It was back when it was DeLorme. Yeah, but it works just perfect. I mean, it works perfect. I don't have any complaints about it. Sean wants to know how the Wii Boost works in the Ozarks. Mo, you've had more experience in this than I have. I just put mine on, so I can't tell you.
Pretty. I mean, it's still the same, pretty hit or miss, but it's if there's no service, there's no service. That's just part of it, But maybe if there's a spot where there's a bar, it may bump you up to 2 or 3 bars. You're not going to be able to surf the internet, but good enough to get a call out.
Yeah.
There's definitely a difference, So this was our first weekend. We took both rigs out, took the 4Runner out and took the 80 series out. And spots where I'd usually, my phone would ping, or spots where I'm used to my phone bringing through and getting messages from riding the 4Runner. In the 80 series, I didn't get those same spots. So like I said, it's pretty spotty, but it does work.
Yeah. Yeah. We were up on the Buffalo River. Not last weekend, but week before, and we pulled in there, and I think I had maybe a bar, and I clicked the switch for the Wii Boost. Mine went up to 3 bars, and Connie, who's on actually a different service, I'm on AT&T, and she is on Verizon, and she went up to 4 bars, and so it works. I don't know how it works, but it works.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool to have, especially when you need to reach out to your mom and say, "Hey, I'm here," or whatever, like that. Which what she was doing. She wanted to reach out to her mom and say, "Hey, we're camping. In case you don't get a hold of us, this is where we are." So that is another part of the peace of mind that we get with that. Now, I know myself when it comes to budget, and I know that I'm not satisfied with things that are not perfect. They don't have to be expensive. They don't have to be things that draw people's attention. I don't have to be that guy that, when you're parked at an event, everybody has to come over and look at your rig. But they have to be perfect for me, or I'm not satisfied. And so when it comes to spending money on a budget, there are certain things that I know that I have to be happy with, or I'm not going to be satisfied. So I'm one of those guys that will not do without, but I will research and save until I can afford what I want, because I'm not going to settle, like somebody asked earlier, what do you settle on instead of spending money on? I'm not going to settle for something that I know is either going to break, the quality is not going to be there, or anything like that. But like Shane says, it's really doesn't take that much to do it. And so, I always encourage people that get on these groups and things and say, I really want to get out. Where do I start? Well, start by getting out, and then you know what you'll need. Like Matt said, you don't need a toilet. You just need a shovel to dig a hole. You don't need a fridge. Everybody's got a cooler you can put ice in. You can sleep in your car. You can do it. Just get out and learn what you can live with, learn what you can live without, and then you'll know what is best for you. So Matt, tell me, how was the process for you? I know you said earlier you were a backpacker, and that's kind of how it started. But when you got into the car-based travel, the car-based overlanding, how did you figure out what you needed and what you could live without on an extended period of time?
Just by going and doing it. Like, you only really basically need water, shelter, and food of some sort. That's the three basic things you need. So if you take your just most basic elements out there and then start with that, and then start finding out what convenience beyond the basic need that I really need, or not need, but I really want out here. Like, that's going to make this a better experience for me. And then that's what you go for. And that's kind of like how we went. We started out with a ground tent. We tried a hub tent, didn't work for our need. We ended up going to a soft shell rooftop and have been happy with it ever since. We are kind of rethinking that for the disco though, because it's significantly taller off the ground, and my wife's not short enough to flip the tent from that height. So there again, we're gonna have to go back and try to reevaluate how we're gonna do things.
Right.
It's definitely like a comfort thing, like you're saying, best way is to go out and do it, coming from the backpack, and same as you, we started out, we had a smaller cooking service, and so when you get out there and you decide, well, why not bring a 2-burner Coleman, and now we've got 2 burners to cook on and stuff like that. It's all things just to make your camping as comfortable as you want it. You don't have to go out and spend anything. If you're fine roughing it, man, the forest is there, and there's plenty of spots to do that in. It's all about what you want to spend, how comfortable you want to be, and what your comfort level is. It seems like to me.
Yeah, that's true. And you want to be comfortable because you don't want to be miserable. If you're miserable, you won't have fun and you won't go back and do it. One of the things that I will not skimp on is a mattress for my tent, because if I don't sleep, I'm miserable and I will not want to go back. So, for the iCamper, I slept in that iCamper mattress for 15 days in Colorado last year. I could barely walk. My hips were killing me. And I told my wife, if we're going to keep doing this, we're fixing to upgrade our mattress. So we upgraded our mattress, and I spent a massive amount of money to get a memory foam inflatable 4-inch mattress. And let me tell you, that thing is heaven. It's heaven. But I got this new rooftop tent. The mattress is almost the exact same mattress as the iCamper mattress. And I was like, I told her after the trip to the Ozarks a couple weeks ago, I got to get a different mattress. I'm not sleeping on this mattress. So I looked on Amazon and I found a mattress. It's a Chinese made mattress. I ordered the thing. It's 4 inches. It's memory foam. It's inflatable. And I said, this looks very similar to the one we've got. So it came in, and I put them side by side. I really wish I could, and I may do a video on it for YouTube, but I put them side by side. They're identical. One cost almost $600. One cost $160. Identical mattress. And so, I was quick to purchase the first one because everybody said, this is what you need to go with. This is what you need to go with. This will fit. It will be perfect for what you want. And everybody was going with that. And I'll say it was an Exped mattress. And Exped is a very reputable company. Very reputable company. And they last. And let me tell you, and I've got nothing against Exped, because I ripped that thing the second night we were in it. I sent it back to them and they fixed it for free and sent it right back. So customer service is amazing. But I found this other mattress on Amazon, and I know everybody's like, oh, Amazon, that's China Mart, whatever. It was the exact same mattress. Exact same. I guarantee you they're made in the same factory, just like a lot of the rooftop tents are. Some people put their name on it, charge you more. Some people put their name on it, charge you less. And that's exactly what it was. And so I was
Have you slept on your new mattress?
I have. It's amazing. I put it down in the floor and laid on it, and I was like, this is heaven. Awesome. It's heaven. And so there's different things like that. Don't get in a hurry. Take your time, research, look around, because I guarantee you, there's these factories out there that make products for all these different companies, and what you pay for is a name 90% of the time. So you got to be careful what you're getting. You got to be careful what you're getting. So when we talk about gear, one of the things that people overspend on, disc cookers. Disc cookers.
Guilty.
Unbelievable. And I'm guilty too. I've got one.
Guilty.
I've got one. But let me show you. I did a video on this, and this is on my YouTube. I did a disc cooker on a budget. I have this $25 single burner Coleman stove. They make a trivet on Amazon for $13 that is made for woks. You can put that trivet on this stove, and a $60 disc will fit perfect. And so I've got $85 in this disc cooker, and I just spent $400 on my other one that I've got. Big difference. Big difference. And so there's ways out there, if you get creative enough, you can save a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
So and there's folks like, I'm sure you guys know, the social media, man, folks have done it, and more folks, if you'll reach out to them on something like that cooker, folks are more than happy to tell you how they did it, how they came up with it, almost down to a T, and send you down the store just to, kind of share the idea.
Yeah. Yeah, and Greg wants to know what mattress is it. Greg, when we get done, I will post a link on here. It's kind of hard for me to go back and forth and post links, but be looking for me to post a link on your comment tomorrow, and I will let you know exactly what mattress that was that I got. Another thing that people pay too much on, like we've said before, fridges. My first fridge was a China Mart fridge. It lasted for a couple of years, kicked the bucket, and then I upgraded. But you really don't have to have a fridge. Like Matt said, his coolers have been keeping ice cold for years.
Well, and people have only been keeping their food refrigerated on ice for about 100 years out of the thousands of years that we've been here. So it's really not a necessity.
That's a great point.
You can travel with canned food, MREs, or Mountain House. You can buy a butt ton of Mountain House for the cost of your cheap fridge.
That's right. That's right. I see Matt's cooler in the back of his 4Runner there. I love this picture of your wife. I'm assuming that's your wife. I don't know.
Yes.
Okay. Y'all are still married.
Yep.
So there's the
Probably not
cooler
after
there.
that
She's
picture
making
gets out
y'all
there,
some
though.
sandwiches. You sent me several of these pictures, and I wanted everybody to know beautiful, beautiful pictures. I always want to know. That's
My
so
goodness.
beautiful. Sedona is unstinking real. There's a picture of your setup that you use to cook with. See some looks like some Tony Satcheries or something there.
Oh,
Tony
that's
Cherries.
Tony's goes on everything, man.
Oh yeah, it goes good on
my
everything.
wife's from the place a little bit south of where y'all are from, if you know what I mean. So it's a staple in our house.
I heard that. Love these pictures. They're
I gotta
just
get
so
out
cool.
there.
But take your advice from people who's actually lived this life. Don't put it out there on social media, because you may get comments from people who have never spent one night in the woods. Take it from people who's been out there. Another thing that people can save a lot of money on: shovels. A lot of people don't think about this. Shovels, $85, $90 shovel. And I'm guilty. I've got one. But I read somewhere where somebody went to Lowe's and bought like a $25 shovel, took a grinder to it, and made one of them beaver shovels out of it with all the notches and stuff. I said, that's genius. That's genius. You just saved yourself $75 by being creative.
Maybe that may be
cool.
our most budgeted item. Like, we just have an e-tool, a folding collapsible shovel. It's nothing special, but digs all big enough.
Yeah.
So
definitely, I just use the cheap folder.
Yeah. Well, I've got the one that I carry with me everywhere I go is one of those. It's about this long. I love the little short shovel. We do have the high dollar shovel on the trailer, but It stays on the trailer, but everywhere we go, I take that little bitty shovel because it's like a $15 shovel, and it's been with me since I think it was my grandfather's. He had it, and shovels last a long time, folks. You don't need to buy a new shovel every year.
Mhm.
It's just not one of those things you have to buy. We've talked about stoves. You can pick up a cheap stove. They sell cheap stoves at Walmart for $20. They'll last forever. Mine is 50 years old. They will last a long stinking time. But
now this
go ahead.
cook services, those are something, my wife, man, she loves to cook, and so that's kind of how the Tembo Tusk showed up. Now we've kind of gone back to our two-burner setup a little bit, and so but I think everybody, I would think, almost always starts out with a Coleman two-burner. It just, like I said, it's not very expensive. Runs right off of propane, just easy, works every time. Mine's not 52 years old, but she's chugging right along, and I hope I get 50 more years out of it.
I guarantee you.
You can always find them on offer up too. Like they're always out there. You said you can always find them on offer up, like no matter where you are in the world too. And you pretty much guarantee they're pretty basic. They're gonna run when you buy one.
Yeah, right. You're right. And they're so easy. Now, one thing I have splurged on, my wife and I talk constantly every time we go out and come back and go out and come back. We talk about, okay, what did we not use? What can we do without? And one of her biggest gripes and complaints was our bathroom setup. And Mo was here, and he witnessed this. And we went out together, and I have a cheap, crappy piece of junk unfolding that looks like something you put in your windshield privacy tent, and it just about made me lose my religion the last time we were out. So I made a little video when we got back to show people that I knew how to do it. This is what happened.
This is for everybody that went out on the express rally with us a couple weekends ago. We had this pop-up shower tent. Had to get like 4 or 5 people to help us fold it up because we couldn't figure out how to do it. Well, this is how you fold it up. That. Of course it don't work. This is how you do it. Here we go. Boom!
All right. No, that was my frustration because here I was going to show everybody. Because when I got home, that thing just folded up and it just went right back where it was supposed to. I was like, I'm going to show everybody that I can do this. And I'm going to send them this video. And I couldn't get that thing folded up for nothing. And that was so frustrating. I hated that thing. I still hate that thing. I want to set it on fire. So I have upgraded. I bought one of the in-suites from 23-0 to go on the side. And let me tell you, for convenience, that was worth the money for us because pops out, drops down, 20 seconds, you've got a privacy. And I know the ladies out there, they got to have their privacy. And if you don't have something for them to place to go or just something to pop out for them to change clothes or something like that, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. So I have splurged on that, and that was the reason why. So so I did splurge on that. But we got a lot of comments on our shovels. A lot of people have said that they do the old Army shovels. Shane does the old Army shovels.
Yeah.
Shane said, I'm guilty, bought one for the wife. Them things piss me off. Hey, I'm right there. I'm right there with you. Yeah, thanks.
It's the best feeling when that thing folds up and it fits back into the bag. It is just a great feeling. We used ours out west, multiple times. And, even though you may get it out every day, it doesn't seem like folding it up's the same every time.
Yeah,
And the bag they come in is like crap too. Mine's all
Yeah, it's
shredded up and
hideous.
everything.
Yes.
It's hideous.
Yeah.
No, it's
Well,
Mhm.
I will be
for
buying
like
it in suite on ours. So that's
Yeah,
one thing
well,
I'll spend the money on.
yeah, I'm with you because it's not worth the frustration to me. Sometimes you will pay not to be frustrated,
Yeah.
and that's exactly the way I am. So, let me. I'm gonna try to transition. We went over a little bit of an hour. We're gonna want to try to wrap this up here in just a minute. But I want to ask you guys because you both of you do travel. So, budgeting. How do you budget for gas? Because Matt, you already live out west, and it seems
Yeah.
like the farther west we go, the more expensive gas is. So you've got to
100%.
research. You've got to research and see how much gas is. Otherwise, you're going to be way over your budget on gas. So, how do you guys budget for gas on your longer extended trips?
Gas buddy.
Gas Buddy, my wife uses that. I need to start using that.
Yeah.
Seen that.
I need to check that out. Most times, budget for gas, we've got a destination in mind, so whatever it costs us to get there is just kind of what it costs us to get there. I wish I had the numbers. We kept track of all our gas stops on our recent trip to New Mexico and Utah, and it's the numbers not as high as we thought it would be. I want to say we were around $600 for fuel for, I think we were 3,000 miles into the trip,
Yeah.
and so it didn't seem as crazy as we thought, because this is when gas was going up, and
Mhm.
and we knew going out west, gas is always a bit more expensive. But it's funny as we got to those mountain towns, and Sean's right on with that. It is all about the smiles. But right when we
Yeah.
got out to the mountain towns, the MPGs went way up, So yes, we're paying more for gas, but now we're also getting more miles per gallon out of it. There, she just posted it. It was $527 is what we spent on fuel.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so that's pretty impressive. And you compare that, as to staying in Airbnbs or stuff like that. So it's we always feel like we're money ahead, sleeping in the Forerunner, camping. No matter what fuel is, food's pretty basic thing. You got to have it, but we're able to stretch most of our dinners. We'd make a big dinner, and snack on it for lunch the next day, kind of stop and heat it up trail side and kind of repeat the next night.
I'm kind of the same way. I try to over budget for gas and always take an emergency credit card in case something happens that I don't have anything on that has a really, because you never know what you might get into that you might have to pay for. But really, when it comes down to for the trip that you did, hotels are going to be $120, $170 a night. I mean, you spent less in gas than you would 3 nights in the hotel. So, for me, that makes paying a little bit more for gas worth it because of the experience that you got. The photos that you get are incredible, and not everybody gets to see what you see unless they get off the beaten path. And so,
unless you just live out there like Matt does.
Yeah,
that's just the normal.
It's kind of like people that live in Hawaii. Where do y'all go for vacations?
Yeah.
The mainland.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What about food? How do you budget for food? Do you buy all of your food, or try to buy all your food before you go, or do you buy it a little along the way?
We buy it along the way. One of our favorite things to do, is we want to shop local while we're out there. A local store versus, we want to taste different things, and so some of the stuff I can get back home, that's not what I want to do on vacation. So taking some of the local eats and stuff like that and buy from their grocers, not like a Walmart that's out there, but like a small town grocery, and the meat is different, and like I said, it's always different. So as far as packing groceries, we're going to bring Little Debbie's. We're from Little Debbie, capital of the world. So those are going to be in the car. Oatmeal cream pie is going to be in the car.
Oatmeal cream pies.
As far as real food, we're going to stop when we get somewhere. I mean, New Mexico and Utah, they do a fine job on their chilies and meat stuff. We try and grab some when we're out that way.
Yeah. Always love eating local. I will drive all the way to New Mexico just for chicharrones. That's just me. I love them. We go out there, we buy green chilies. We just brought back a whole bunch of ramps and different kind of beans from West Virginia. We love eating local. So we try to take about 3/4 of our food, knowing that we will buy some food while we're out there. Now, one of the problems that we always tend to run into is buying way more food than what we can fit in our refrigerator. People that, take a lot of drinks. Drinks take up a ton of room in a cooler and a fridge. And so you really have to proportion those or plan out that you're going to stop and buy water or soft drinks or beer or whatever for your food. And so we always love eating local, but we don't like to eat out. Now, there will be times when we've seen hole in the wall places on Food Network or something like that we want to go to and try out. But for the most part, we're cooking or fixing a meal pretty much every single time we stop. And so, like Sean says, I save on weight and fuel by eating out along the way. That's one way to do it. You don't have to have a fridge. You don't have to have anything to cook with. You eat out every meal. I've been to some places though where there's not a place to eat out within 100 miles. So it's a little different once you get out into the wild blue yonder.
Yeah, and it gets expensive.
Real expensive. Very expensive.
Especially the further you get to the coast, it seems out here.
Yeah. I've never overlanded in California, but I can't imagine the prices of food out there. I want to get out there one day, but so stinking far between here and there. But there's so many cool places to go. You just kind of have to go. But okay, we're kind of coming to the end of what we want to talk about, and the end of the show. We've taken it a little longer than what we normally do, but it's been a good talk. We've talked about some good things. I think a lot of people have gotten a lot of cool stuff out of it. So do you have any other advice you can give to people that are watching or listening or will watch or listening for overlanding on a budget, or just any overlanding advice in general?
I feel like Matt said it best earlier. It's just get out, live it, see what you need, come back out and do it again. It just get out and have fun with it. You'll be all right.
Yeah. And just do it. If you can, find somebody or a group or a resource close to you local that's like in person that can help too. I think that would help a lot of people. And then just don't judge your beginning of this journey by somebody else's middle, which don't get intimidated by the big high dollar things that you see and think that you need to have that to go do it and let it stop you or stand in your way. Just go try something and then find out, okay, do I want to take it to the next level, or if I'm not comfortable with this? But you're never going to know until you go do it.
Right.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I have a few. Don't maintain your vehicle if you're not mechanically inclined. Learn cooking techniques to save you money instead of eating out. If you don't know how to cook, it's real easy to learn. Get with somebody. They'll be glad to teach you. Don't get into heavy wiring if you can't wire anything, because you'll set your vehicle on fire. Make friends with people who know how to do things, and they will gladly help you out. Go ahead.
That last one's just good in life in general.
Yeah.
Just make friends. Be kind, man. Folks will treat you right. Like he's saying, you've got plenty of stuff out of the welding department, everything. I mean, it is, if you're friendly with folks and they're like-minded, like I said, everybody I've met's been more than, happy to help on anything I've asked them to help me on. So
it's
so true.
It's been crazy like that. Like once we got into the Land Rover community, like when I was rebuilding the head gas or doing the head gaskets on the disco, I was in contact with a guy in South Africa that had just done it. And I had a couple of questions like about some wiring. And he's like, well, hold on, man. Ran outside and shot me a video of how the wiring loom looked after he'd redid it so I could go ahead and gauge it myself, which was just incredible.
That's incredible. That's just mind blowing. That's what makes it so attractive to so many people. It's more like a family than it is a hobby. And I tell everybody that all the time. I think that's why it's growing. I think that's why people feel such a part of it, is because it's really more like a family than it is a hobby. There's so many ways you can make friends and lifelong friends along the way. It's super cool. Well, thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate you being here. What a great topic. This was something that a lot of people were interested in. I think we put out some good information out there. Make sure that you go and give Secondhand Overland and Forerunning the Ozarks a follow on Instagram. I'm a Professor, and these are my friends, and I'm encouraging you, live a life better than you've ever dreamed of. Love one another. Leave it better than you found it. You've been watching Professor and Friends.
Hey guys, it's Porter from Autotronics in West Virginia.
And I'm Chris with Re Rover.
Adam at Step 22 Gear.
It's Chris from More Expo.
I'm Boozer.
I'm Chef West.
Hi, this is Jeff from Re Rover.
Jordan from Anderson Overlanding.
Mason Berry with Blue Line Overlanding.
Hey, we're Jessica and Jorge.
Live, work, wander. And you're watching Professor.
And you are watching Professor and Friends.
Professor and Friends.
Professor and Friends. Professor and Friends. Can you get Jessica in this shot?
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Sir.
Great talking to you.